Okay, a little update before we begin. After being away from YouTube for a while, I am back and I have finally decided to part ways with my beloved Fujifilm X-T30II camera, and I will be selling it soon. Let me know if you'd like to see a video with my final thoughts on this camera, what was good and what wasn't so good. If you have any questions about the camera, leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them in that video if I make it. Today I'm wrapping up my Copenhagen street photography series with this final video. I visited the city earlier this year and have already shared a few street photography videos from there, which you can find on my channel. In this video I'll review my experience in Copenhagen in general, whether it's worth visiting in general and for street photography in particular. I'll also talk about the places I went to shoot and recommend some spots to eat. If you are a street photographer planning to visit Copenhagen, I hope this video will be helpful for you. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and let's get started. I visited Copenhagen back in April and it turned out to be a great time to go. The weather was just right, not too cold or too hot, perfect for walking around. It only rained once during my stay, so I was pretty lucky. I stayed at the Wake Up Copenhagen hotel. The room wasn't very big, but it met my needs since I planned to spend most of my time exploring the city, not in the hotel. The big window was nice and the bathroom setup was interesting. I stayed for 4 nights and paid 392 euros, which is a fair price for Copenhagen. After not so great experience with an Airbnb in Berlin where the host would cook at night, I decided to go with a hotel instead. I didn't want to feel insecure in a foreign place with someone outside my room while I was sleeping, so this hotel seemed like the best option for me. I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. The hotel is in a nice area just outside the old town, so I could walk to all the places I wanted to visit without needing to use public transport, which was great. Also, there are a few modern banking buildings near the hotel that look cool for street photography. In my second street photography video from Copenhagen, I think I started right outside my hotel near those buildings. Of course, you can't visit Copenhagen without checking out its central area, which is kind of like the old town. But if you want to take photos there, I suggest going as early as possible. After my first night, I woke up really early for no reason and went to that part of the city. It was so nice and peaceful with just few people passing by. Later in the day, when the city wakes up, it gets crowded with tourists and locals, which isn't the best for street photography. Near the central area there is a small canal called Nyhavn. If you want that classic Copenhagen look for your photos, you should definitely go there. Nyhavn has that famous canal and colorful buildings. It's a very popular tourist spot, so I wouldn't spend too much time there, but it's worth a visit for sure. After visiting Nyhavn, you'll find Amalienborg Square. Amalienborg. After visiting Nyhavn, you'll find Amalienborg Square, where the gods change a few times a day. I was lucky to be there right when they were switching, and I captured a few photos of it. It was nice to take pictures of the gods in front of the old buildings, and I think some of the shots turned out great. There is also an old military island called Kastellet nearby, which looks cool from above because of its shape. However, I didn't find much interesting to photograph there since there were lots of tourists around. It could be a good spot to take a break from photography. But close to Kastellet, there is a small neighborhood where soldiers live. I like this area because the buildings are quite old and haven't been renovated or replaced, so it has kept its heritage. It's a great spot to capture some truly vintage looking photos. After that, you can find a nice park with Rosenborg Castle. I didn't spend much time there because when I visited during lunchtime, it was also crowded with people. But I imagine it would look great if you go early in the morning when it's empty. If you want to capture the little castle or blooming trees in spring, definitely visit in the morning. And in spring, obviously. I also enjoyed the Christiania neighborhood because it reminded me of Amsterdam. There's a canal running through the area and it's worth spending some time walking around and exploring. There is also a park called Superkilen
Park.
that I visited one day by bike. I didn't really enjoy it, but it seemed like a great spot for skaters. And funny thing happened while I was standing near a skating area. I noticed an old green convertible car in great condition. I think it might have been a Jaguar, but I'm not sure. A skater saw me looking at the car and came over to me saying, "Nice car, right?" I agreed, saying it was great. Then he surprised me by saying it was his car. I didn't believe him at first, but then he said he was going to grab some food, hopped into the convertible and drove away. So yeah, skaters don't just waste their time as some parents might think. Sometimes they can even afford cool old cars like that one. By the way, renting a bike in Copenhagen is a great idea since it's affordable and makes it easy to explore the city and different neighborhoods. Now let's talk about some places to eat. The first place I recommend is Emery's. I visited it on my first morning in Copenhagen and later I found out it's a chain of bakeries. But don't let that fool you, it's really good. I had an avocado toast, a bun with cardamom and a latte. I was pretty happy with my first breakfast in Copenhagen, even though I'm not a big fan of cardamom buns. But I had to try it since it's a popular not just in Denmark but in other Scandinavian countries too. Another great bakery chain is Buka Bakery. It's always crowded and for a good reason. The pastries there are amazing. I had a pastry with mascarpone cream and raspberries and it was absolutely perfect. The coffee was good too. If you want to avoid chain bakeries, there is a small coffee shop called Caf that I recommend. I went there on the morning I spent biking and it was a great experience. I had yogurt with granola, a delicious pain au chocolat, and a great coffee. I sat outside, enjoyed the surroundings and soaked in the sun. Another coffee shop I recommend is Lily Petra, which has a really nice interior. I only tried their coffee but it was great, so I definitely suggest visiting them. However, I don't recommend a place called Coffee First. I went there on my last morning and it wasn't a good experience. The place felt worn out and outdated, the coffee tasted bad and the breakfast pricing was strange. So that was my experience in Copenhagen this year. I couldn't explore everything in just a few days, especially since I spent a lot of time shooting on the streets, but I definitely recommend visiting this city. It's beautiful and has its own unique vibe. I had a great time exploring it, but keep in mind that Copenhagen isn't a cheap city, so be prepared to spend a bit if you want to enjoy everything. If you have been to Copenhagen or if you live there, share your recommendations in the comments below. I didn't mention museums because I usually only visit one when I travel, and this time it was the Carlsberg. Heineken would be easier. Carlsberg Glyptotek.
Carlsberg Glyptotek.
I recommend it. It has a variety of exhibits and I even saw a mummy for the first time. It's a great museum created by the Carlsberg family. Yes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so I can see you in the next one. Also, let me know if you would like to see more videos like that with my recommendations of other cities to visit. For now, keep your heads up, stay positive, have a nice day and keep shooting.